All right, we're going to break this one into two parts again. It says using factors to sketch y equals ax squared plus bx plus c. We're just going to figure out this part first, the factors, and then we'll do the actual sketching in part two. Okay, so section 10.7. If you remember with the algebra tiles, you can either do the colors, like x squared, there's one blue one, plus 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 green ones, plus 8 yellow ones. Or you can do length times width, making it a rectangle. So we have x plus 1, 2, 3, 4 times x plus 2. Okay? And now we know how to, with FOIL or with just multiplying with the distributive property, we know that this equals this. All right? And today, because we know that they equal each other, what we're going to do is now we're going to go from here to here. So we're going to learn how to factor it. All right? And there's two methods for doing that. Okay, one would be using the algebra tiles to make a rectangle. So when you know it's x squared plus 7x plus 12, okay, so we know like there's 12 little ones. So we have to figure out how could I make that into a rectangle so that my width times my length would then equal this. Okay, well I already did this one for you, so let's do one that we don't already have the answer to. All right, like this one. Okay, so we have x squared plus 5x plus 4. So we know we need one of these, okay? And we know we need 4 of these, but we don't know, are they in a line like this? Or are they in a square like this? So in other words, is it this? Okay, so that makes a rectangle. I have my 4, I have my x squared, but I only have 1, 2, 3, 4 green x's. Okay, so, but I need 5. So let's bring one more in. All right, so now I have, well, there's 4. Now there's 5, so then if I go like this, now it's a rectangle. Okay, so I have my x squared plus 1, 2, 3, 4, 5x plus 1, 2, 3, 4. And then my length times my width would be x plus 1 times x plus 4. Okay, so there's only one answer. We just got to figure out what it is. Now, of course, I guess if you want to get technical, we could say, well, that's another answer, but it's the same thing. Okay, it doesn't matter which way you write it, just watch your signs. Okay, in this case, they're both plus, so we're okay. So let's try x squared plus 8x plus 12, all right? We know we need one of these, and we know we need all 12 of these. Oops, not gonna let me move them. There we go. All right, we know we need all of those. We just don't know, okay, is it gonna be, you know, how many of these are we gonna need? Well, we need 8 total. So let's try 4 and 4. 3, 4. Okay, well if I do 4 and 4, I'm going to need 16 yellows in there, right? And I only have 12, so that's not going to work. So let's take one of these out, put one of these in. This would give me 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 X's. But this would give me 5 times 3 is 15 yellows. Okay, and I need 12. So let's take one off here, add one on here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Good. And now I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 by 2. That would get me my 12 little guys. Okay? So then if I put this all together, of course, if I'm touching them. If you have actual, oops, I had an extra one. We'll just throw him away. Okay, because I was supposed to have 12. I had 13. All right, so that makes a rectangle. So then we now know that this factors to x plus 2 times x plus 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay? So not so bad. Until we throw the reds in there. Okay, so now we got to get a negative 4x and we got to get a negative 12. So that means we're going to need one of these and we're going to need all 12 of these guys. All right, oh, I got a red one in there too. All right, so then we have to think, well, what's going to get me this? And this is where it can get a little complicated. And we'll play with these in the class together. All right, but let me just move on to the second method, which is going to be the one you're probably going to want to prefer. But it's kind of nice to see where it came from using the algebra tiles. Okay, so the way we can do this is we know that this equals this because we FOILed and got ourselves this. But if I want to go from here to here, okay, well, let's look at some relationships. We can see there's a 4 and a 3 in here, and we know those multiply out to get 12. And we also know that 4 and 3 need to add together to get 7. Okay, so let's use that when we're factoring. So let's think, okay, well, 3, I know I have to get x and x. I know it's going to be plus plus because I have all addition here. And then I have to think, well, what goes here? Well, that's your L. So it's going to be what times what gets me 3. Well, my only options are 3 and 1. Okay, so then if I FOIL it, I got x squared, okay, plus 3x, oops, missed a step, sorry, plus x plus 3. If I get that together, I have my original, so I'm good. Well, that one was easy. All right, well, now with 8, what multiplies to get 8? Well, I can use 8 and 1 or 4 and 2. Well, which one's going to add up to get me 6? Obviously the 4 and 2. 8 and 1 would get me 9. That's not going to be the right factoring. Whoops. Okay, so we know it's x and x. We know it's plus and plus. And we know 4 times 2 gets us 8, and 4 plus 2 gets us our 6. So that would be our answer. Okay, so like I said, if we did this, if I factor this, or sorry, if I FOIL this, x squared plus 8x plus x plus 8, that's going to get me a 9x in the middle. All right, and I need a 6x. This will get me a 6x. Okay? So we have to play with the numbers a little bit. All right, so, all right, this one's getting tricky. All right, so let's list our factors of 12. We can have 12 and 1, we can have 6 and 2, and we can have 4 and 3. All right, and which one's going to get us a minus 7 in the middle? Well, the 4 and the 3 is going to get me 7, but how do I get the negative? If I do this, that'll get me my negative, because that's going to be minus 4x and minus 3x to get my minus 7x, and negative 4 times negative 3 is going to get me my positive 12. That's my answer. All right, over here, again, it's 12 and 1, 6 and 2, and 4 and 3. This time we need to get 4 in the middle, and it's going to be a plus 4. All right, but this has to be a minus 12. Well, the only thing we can do for that is means that each of these has to be a different sign, because a positive times a negative gets me a negative. All right, so that means I'm going to subtract these two numbers to get 4. So which of these, when I subtract them, do I get 4? Well, that's obviously 6 and 2. Okay? But if I put 6 here and 2 there, when I subtract, I get negative 4, and I need a positive 4. So my correct answer would be that. Because now if I take plus 6x minus 2x, I get my plus 4x, and then 6 times negative 2 gets me my negative 12. Okay, so this is why I was saying we needed to get really good at going from here to here, all right, so that it makes sense when we're checking our answer and checking our factors to get the right answer when we're factoring. All right, so let's try this one. We know it's x and x. To get this, the only thing I can do is have one of each sign. All right, so we have 10 and 1 or 5 and 2. And because they're one of each sign, that means we're subtracting to get negative 3. Well, that's not going to work, but 5 and 2 will work. So I do minus 5 plus 2. When I check it with FOIL, I'll get a minus 3x in the middle. Okay, this is plus, and that's plus, so it's plus plus. Factors of 15 are 15 and 1 or 5 and 3. That's a 3. Okay, and let's see, we want to add to get 8. So 15 and 1 gets me 16. That's not going to work, but 5 and 3 will work. Okay, and again, you could have the 3 here and the 5 here. In this case, it doesn't matter because our signs are both positive. All right, now we've got more choices. There's lots of factors of 24. There's 1 and 24, 2 and 12, 3 and 8, and 6 and 4. And if this is a minus, That means, again, I need one of each sign, which means, again, I'm going to subtract to get negative 5. Well, which of these pairs is going to get me a 5 when I subtract? That's this one, all right? And if I want a negative 5, I'm going to have my 8 here and my 3 here. Okay, if you don't believe me, check it with FOIL, all right? And you'll see that I'm right. All right, 30 and 1, 2 and 15, 3 and 10, and 6 and 5. All right, this tells me it's one of each sign, which means I have to subtract to get 1. All right, so obviously my choice is here. I want a positive 1, so my bigger number has to go here, and then that would be my factored answer. Okay, that's where we're going to stop, and then I'll teach you part 2 in the next one.